get back to work, will you? I know you guys know what time it is, just like the Scorpions do. You know, if Ozzy likes it, Jimmy likes it. Easy, simple as that. Oh, that's gonna be good. About to happen. Dunkin' Donuts has these cool new Super Duty lightweight cup holders. It's kind of sketch. All right, Joe's got this place ready to rock, man. Beat me in today. He probably got used to it while I was on vacation. The sun is rising. It's already 7:30. I got here about 15 minutes late, but as you see behind me here, broken Toyota, it happens. A lot of people think it doesn't happen, so I got to point it out every time it does. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, I'm Jimmy. We're making it work. Just back from a nice vacation. Cruise was awesome. The ocean was nice and flat. We had like 1 or 2 foot seas at the most. You never hardly felt that ship rock. We were on the Royal Caribbean Wonder of the Seas, biggest cruise ship in the world. Maybe that contributed to the smoothness, but I mean, maybe a total of a half an hour out of the entire cruise, I felt the boat move a little. Other than that, you'd think you were docked and it wasn't moving at all. It was pretty awesome. The shows were phenomenal. Highly recommended if you guys haven't taken a cruise vacation. Highly recommended because the entertainment, the dining room, food's pretty good, and it's included. Obviously, they got steaks, and I had lobster tails and stuff like that, all included. We're not here for cruises. We're here for a day in the shop, and I'm anxious to get back at it. I'm really glad you're here. I missed you. Let's get in there, see what we got going on. I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit of chaos because I wasn't here for a week. So we'll have some cleanup work and stuff like that to get the day fired up, but we're gonna try to learn a thing or two. We're gonna help some people out and have some fun. Stay tuned. First ticket, the Chevy Tahoe with the leaking rear main seal, you guys might remember. 255,133 miles on this 2003 Chevy Tahoe. I think last time I gave it a love rating of 3 because of the bag of food. Remember that? I don't know if you guys remember, but windows don't work, windshield's cracked, check engine lights on. It's got some issues, got a lot of miles on it, but he approved the rear main seal and the cam sensor, and we're going to take a look at the oil pressure sensor and stuff like that too while we're in there. Someone mentioned that they leak, and I'm aware of that. They don't leak often, but they do leak. That's what we're doing on this thing. Someone also mentioned they've never seen a 2-wheel drive one, and I don't even know. I don't remember whether it was 2 or 4-wheel drive. We're going to look real quick. We'll get this thing in the air, and we'll find out. I disconnect the battery because you have to drop the starter out of this to do this task. And there it is, a 2-wheel drive Tahoe. Look at that. That thing might need a tranny mount too, but we'll see. I'm not sure what our budget is here, but I think it's 7 hours labor. Should be fairly easy being a dual wheel drive. So you can see it's ready to go if you wanted to put a 4-wheel drive in it. You could add drive shafts, a front diff. There's another bracket I think that goes in when you do. I wonder if the frame's the same. Anyway, we're not worried about that, are we? We're not converting nothing. This might have a transmission leak too, but I think that there's a grommet on the dipstick tube. We might throw one of them in there too while we're at it. Let's see if the battery works this time. I just took the battery out and put it in. Let's see how the glitch monster's doing. It's the second time I tried to use it today, second time it glitched. I thought the GoPro would have been happy with a vacation. No, it's mad about it. It's kind of strange. Oh, by the way, the drain plug is rounding off. It was really, really tight. So, I've been hammering it. What's the problem? It comes right out. You gotta drain the fluid so it doesn't make a mess. Yeah. Oh, look at that. What the hell? That's not supposed to be like that. There we go. I just want to clean my work area a little bit. Pop that shifter cable off so I can take it out of park and get this drive shaft out my way a little easier. Stop's broken. Make sure no needles fall out of the cup. It has a strap on there, so I just pried it out, but the strap's been broken a while. No harm, no foul, but I do want to take the broken strap off of there. The oil is surprisingly clean, but keep in mind it had a pretty bad leak, so they're probably adding oil on a regular basis. I did give them a sweet new drain plug gasket. The old one was probably original. It was pretty bad. I'm gonna kind of jump ahead and knock out this oil cooler block off plate gasket real quick. Since I got my new oil filter in there, figure I'll go ahead and do this too. Quick and easy part of the job anyway. If you look closely at that, I took the gasket off and I'm like, oh, a gasket. So maybe that's why it was leaking a little bit. It only needs one. Starters out of the way, you can get to the converter bolts. 3 converter bolts using the old Tecton 1/2-inch ratchet with a gear wrench 1/2-inch extension and a gray pneumatic 24mm swivel. Last converter bolt. That's one of the things this right angle impact is great for. As long as it's got the cojones to take it off, it's a great little tool. Heat shield. Alright. Little 15 inside this cross member. It's about 1/4 inch. Gravity check. First one back. That feels good. It's 1/4 inch shorter reach in the nut. That's alright. Gotta take your fuel dampener dealio out of the way to get to your cross member bolts. Double nutted for your viewing pleasure. I might have to take the exhaust out just to get that one cross member bolt out. I was going to try to be sneaky, but this setup's probably not going to let me. And back in the day, I used to pull this porcupine pin. I used to pull that out of the plastic hardware. But it wasn't long before I realized there's a little tab here. You can pop that down and slide the connector off of it. Pretty easy. You do have to undo this little, what are these things called? Thingamabobs? Because it traps the O2 harness in with the main harness. It's quite the contraption I got here. I got a 1/2-inch Icon wobbly, so my socket can have a little wiggle room. I got a gear wrench 1/2-inch 5-inch straight, and I got a gray pneumatic deep 15. I tried with my 3/8 adapter on my 1/2-inch gun and it wouldn't budge these things. They're tight. They're not rusty, but they're tight. I apologize to my viewers above the rust belt. Oh, guess what though? It's not gonna work. You gotta get a swivel. For one bolt, let's see if that will do it. Gravity check. Some of these I gotta take the cross member out to fit the Y pipe out, and some of them I don't, so we'll give it a try. I think it'll fit out. Nope. It hits the shield and the cross member, and the flange catches on the oil pants. Put it back up where it won't fall. Get this cross member out of the way. That's what pocket screwdrivers are for. Now, I can take the exhaust out and I can answer the phone. Phone's ringing! Some of you guys might know this, some of you guys might not, but whenever I have a sharp flange sticking up about shin and knee height, back in the day I would just slam my leg into it repeatedly, and I finally realized, hey, if I put a rag over there, at least it'll just be a black and blue instead of a cut. So, just a thought. These things are melted into the Prindle switch. Pretty common problem on these GMs. So I tried to get them out. I couldn't get them out. Everything's going to break. So I'm going to take this lever out of my way. Took that bolt out. The problem is this bolt is under the connector. But with this bolt out, you can kind of shimmy it out and loosen this with an open end and take the Prindle off with the connectors. That way the tranny's completely out of my way. I don't have to deal with that. We're getting close now. The problem is the connector is over this bolt and the connector doesn't come out. So what you gotta do? Make it work. Now, use my little 13mm ply bar. Oh, no damage to the connectors or the sensor. If you guys haven't seen my other videos, there's little tools for these to release them so you can get the tube out, but I find they're so finicky, they're a pain in the butt. I just pop the clips out, and when I have the tranny down, I'll put them back in and snap the lines in when I'm done. They also happen to fit right here in the lift. I just clip them right here, boom. There you go. If my calculations are correct, according to the School of Transmission Removal, should just have the vent hose on top to disconnect. Alright, now settle down. Kind of let this stuff fall wherever it's going to fall. And when you put it back in, it'll fall back where it's supposed to fall, right? That's the theory. There's a clamp on the vent hose. I find that a little discouraging, but it'll be alright. Come on. That was easy. Oh, big dipstick. I'm going to put a new grommet in the transmission as well. These two bolts I leave in there because they're a little bit of a bear to feed up there. Go ahead and pop the cam sensor in there real quick. Got a new one right here. It's super easy while the transmission's out. Make sure it's clean in here. Alright. When these leak, they leak into the bell housing, by the way, because the O-ring is at the bottom and there's a gap up to the top where the flange is. So it leaks out of the bottom and looks like the rear main's leaking. So, but obviously rear mains leak a lot on these too. So we do both. Make sure we cover our bases. There was also a little oil in the electrical connector, so I cleaned that up. A little dielectric grease. The oil sender looks good, so we're not going to mess with that. It looks like the bolt spacing varies. It's not all symmetrical. So I marked it, but I think it might be a little wider here. I marked it just in case either way, so I'll go back on the same one. Now these can crack the flange of the crankshaft if you over torque them. So you definitely don't want to buzz them in really hard with your impact gun. Sometimes I use that little yellow torque stick. It's about 62 pounds. I gotta check the specs though. Sometimes I'll use that just to get it close and then torque it by hand the rest of the way. That's the proper way to do it. Yeah, seal's definitely leaking. Just gotta take out about 14 or so 10mm bolts now. Two go up from the bottom. And there's a sequence when you tighten this back up, but we'll go over that. I'm just going to pop this off here real quick. Now this gasket is so hard and brittle that the aluminum part that holds it, normally holds this rubber, came off without the gasket material. So I put a rag in here so no debris goes down in the oil pan. Stuffed it in there pretty good. Now I just got to make sure all this is out of my way. If any of that's left on there, 100% leak, probably worse than it was before. So, gotta clean this up a little bit. It all comes right off. And this plug you can pull out too and make sure it's clean and clear and it's not all sludged up inside there. I'm gonna clean this up, look up some torque specs. We'll come back putting it on. A little bit of silicone in the joints. I'm gonna also put it on the pan, just across the gasket, just for insurance purposes. It's all nice and clean. Got my gasket. Cover comes with new bolts too. What you do with these is you snug these new bolts. Fast and furious, bro. You snug these new bolts just till it pulls the cover to the motor without tightening them. Then you put the long bolts in through the pan. You tighten those to 106 pounds-inch first, and then you torque these to 22 foot-pounds. Don't lubricate these Teflon seals. Make sure the crankshaft's nice and clean. It doesn't have to be completely dry, but you don't want to add lubrication. I wipe it clean, make sure there's no dirt or debris, no carbon buildup on the crankshaft hub, and then I just put it on there dry. The Teflon actually has to seat to the crankshaft. So if you lubricate it, it won't properly seat and end up leaking. That's the rumor. I do what I'm told. Some people tell me, oh, I lubricate them all the time, I never have a problem. That's okay. If it's working for you, then continue doing it. But the rules are in the instructions to not lubricate the seal. Now I should hope these bolts line up. If they don't line up, you got to snug it some more. Get my torque wrench. 106. Alright, and the other torque wrench is 22 foot-pounds. That's a 3/8 torque wrench. That's my Mac. My small one's a Tecton. This is a Mac. Now don't be alarmed if this is a dormant cover. Everything's going to be fine. Three steps, 15, 37, and then 74 foot-pounds. So I snugged them up, and then I used my 65 foot-pound torque stick. Now I'll get my torque wrench, make sure we're at 74. This says 65 on it, so we'll also see how accurate it is. Got my custom Irwin flywheel holding tool on there. It works fine. As long as you're careful, you don't want to mess up the flywheel teeth, obviously. So I use the curved one so it won't hit the teeth so much. But it holds real well against the oil pan, pretty good. They make flywheel holding tools, but it's a different one for every engine. You'd have to have like 18 of them, just for the popular engines. The occasional Maserati would be a different one. Little snap ring tools are back in there. Clean some of this out here. Make sure there's nothing going on. About ready to put this tranny back in. It's not even lunchtime yet. Alright, while we're on hold for that dipstick tube grommet, Mr. Jimmy, take a look at this 2012 Chevy Traverse. Oh, that's annoying. Customer says it misfires. I said, okay, we'll take a quick look. Let me grab the old Phoenix Light 2, fire it up, and see what kind of codes we got. 176,107 miles on this cream puff. This thing is actually about average, about a 5. It's fairly clean, not too bad. Hook up your dongle. As long as you can find your stuff, you can hook you up. There it is. There it is, 2012 Chevy Traverse. It takes a second after you push the scan button. Sometimes I'll push it twice trying to see if it worked or not. Automatic air. Let's see. Yep, we got an auto button. You guys at Phoenix Light 2s, Dan's been helping me out a lot. I'm going to go on that Facebook, Top Don Facebook page and become a member of that and try to figure some of this stuff out, get a little bit quicker response than an email. My scanner has topology at the top, system list, and common functions. So if you have a Phoenix Lite 2, it doesn't have the option for topology, just starts at system list. Let me know in the comments below. I'm kind of curious how many people have the topology and how many don't. But until I get all that sorted out, I'm not even going to use that function. We'll do it without it. And then, or I may just do the topology, send Katie the report, and then start just with as a regular check engine light, pulling codes, that kind of thing. I think that's what we'll do for a little while till I figure out what's going on. We got crankshaft position, exhaust camshaft position correlation, crankshaft position, camshaft position correlation, fuel trim codes, generator L code, fuel rail pressure sensor performance, which is these sometimes this will set because of cam timing too. I've seen a lot of problems like that. 621 generator L. Interesting. Before I run this at all, I'm going to go out and check the oil, see what the oil looks like, and then we'll let it run a little bit more. It didn't feel like it ran that bad. It went into gear really hard. When I tried putting it in gear, it kind of jumps into gear, and there is some transmission codes, so we'll probably have to address those as well. Let's look at that oil first. Full, and it looks brand new. That is mighty interesting. See if someone's been working around in here a little bit. Someone's definitely been pressure washing some stuff. Looks really nice and clean down in there. There's it's supposed to be bolted down somewhere, isn't it? Like there's a bracket missing or something. That's interesting. It's got numbering on the coils, so someone's been in here. It might be a salvage engine, used car, I'm not sure. But we got bolts missing and brackets missing and stuff like that. This is going to be a fun one, I got a feeling. Welcome back from vacation. All right, let's get in there and run this a little bit, see what it does. Let's see what it's doing right now for cam position, actual and desired. See if there's anything happening right now. It feels like it runs pretty decent right now. Very odd. Check engine light's not on, even though it's got 6 codes. All right, I got my exhaust camshaft, actual and desired. Desired is in the blue and orange, and actual is in the purple and gold. So if I bring it off idle, get it to adjust cam timing a little bit, they seem to stay pretty close to the numbers. There's a certain tolerance. It can be slightly different at half a degree, or I'm not sure exactly, I'd have to look that up, but it's pretty consistently near the desired, so that looks pretty decent. So maybe whatever it's doing is not doing it now, like a solenoid intermittently hanging up, or an actuator, a phaser problem. It's quiet under the hood, so I don't hear a timing chain making noise like bad guides and stuff. So let me bring up the intake cam next and we'll look at those. She just stalled. That's interesting. I just brought up the variance from the cam position it wants and the cam position it sees, and this is what I'm getting. And I can feel it's kind of stumbling at this at about 1500 RPM or so, and I can see a lot of variation while it's doing that. Over a degree, 2 degrees on the exhaust. Those are those orange spikes. That's not looking too good. That's not a ton. I got to look and see what the tolerance is, what it's allowed to be off by. Because the timing chain and the tension are always working and things are always moving. It's very slightly. There's an amount it can, and there's an amount it can't go past when it considers it, you know, a problem. So it definitely weird. I let it idle and it stalled, as if a cam didn't come back to where it's supposed to be. If the cam phaser doesn't bring the cam back, there's a spring inside. Like if a spring breaks, the cam will stay retarded when you let it idle and it'll stall. So that felt like what it did, but I have to verify it. Another test we can do is bring up the misfire data for all 6 cylinders and look at the misfire patterns, because what I'm feeling is going to be some form of a misfire. So I just want to look and see, is it on bank 1 or bank 2, or is it an individual cylinder on each bank or something along those lines. If it's a camshaft timing problem, usually the misfires will all be along one bank of cylinders. So, oh, look at that. I'm feeling a little stumble once in a while. And it looks like it's 1, 3, 5. 2, 4, and 6 don't have any misfires yet. I'm going to keep bringing it up to 1500 and letting it idle. And do that a couple times, like to duplicate when it stalled earlier. Oop, it just shut off. It's definitely something going on with cam phasers, so I'm going to try to prove it. Doesn't do it all the time either. It just did it again. 1, 5, and 3. Alright, there's something going on bank 1. So now my thing's going to be, do I go in there and take the solenoids out? I'm probably going to have to get some additional labor time to dig into this thing. We might even have to take the timing cover off and take a look at the chain, the guides, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know the history of this vehicle. I'll have to check with them on that up front too. So let me go talk to them up front, get a little more information on this customer, and see where we're going to go from here. I got my grommet for my transmission. Oh, they're racing. They're racing. Oh. Get it. Fast and Furious, bro. This Infiniti, I'm looking at it. I'm going, man, this thing got some brake problems. Hot spots on all the rotors. It's missing a bumper. Got cords coming out of his tires. And look at that. Pretty bad. Got metal to metal brakes. Bill's doing a tune-up. Cool hot air intake. Air filters right near the radiator where you get the best warm air for your engine. Cools down the, speeds up the warm-up process. Someone was just getting angry in my comment section saying I make fun of customers. No, just the cars. And trust me, if you don't do silly stuff, I won't make fun of you for it. It's not like I enjoy doing it. I just trying to understand how people make decisions on stuff. That's all. Doesn't make me a bad person, does it? Maybe it does. I don't know. But I can only be me, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get this dipstick in and feed this up a little at a time. We're gonna have this done today, I'm thinking. And it's taking my time too. 'Cause I know there's got to be someone who's gonna say in the comments they can do this job in 45 minutes. And I understand that, but I can't. Very close. Alright, you. Be in. That was easy. All I had to do was ask nice. Coming with me, yeah? Alright. Oh, come on. Let's go. Come on. No, I told you. You have to go with me. You can't stay. I gotta get that little bracket on there for the vent hose assembly. That's probably the trickiest part of the whole job. So I might have to get a magnetic socket or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Can you guys see it up there? I don't know if you can see it. Way up there. I don't like to leave that bracket off because then the next guy goes, who did this and didn't put the bracket on? So that's not how we roll around here. Oh, I'm not gonna, this is gonna take like 8 minutes. I won't film the whole thing. Bracket's on. Now I gotta get the nut up in there. I'm gonna give it a go with a regular socket first and see. Maybe it's my lucky day. Just back from vacation, feeling kind of good, willing to take some risks. The only problem is the firewall is right there too. I might need a short socket to start it. What's happening is the lip on the firewall, the deep socket, kind of hits back here and it won't let me get straight, and I don't want to cross thread it. We'll switch to a different socket just for this one special nut. Alright, you. Something happened, something good. I got my nut in place. It's important to do things like that, even though I might have saved 10 minutes if I just skipped that and left the nut off or left the bracket off. Like I see a lot of them come in like that. I don't like to know that someone else might work on it someday and go, who the hell did this? I want to do it right. You guys can see it up there, right? We're on Easy Street now. Cooler lines. I use the pry bar and I kind of load it and just jiggle it just enough that you'll feel it just pop in. Slide the plastic covers on and you're good to go. Oh, I got to put the bolt in a dipstick too. I kind of pop that down just the last little bit to slide it down onto the stud. That's one of the easy ones actually. The nut's also different for the dipstick. It has a flange washer on it, since it's just a little piece of sheet metal. Come on, extension, get on there, will you? This is that's the last of the bell housing bolts. Torquing little bolts and starter, a little bit of oil and training fluid, and this thing's a brand new car almost. Almost. Couple of wires on this here starter. All right, starter's buttoned up, exhaust, drive shaft bolts, shifter cables back on. New dipstick grommet, sweet. Starter's in, converter bolts, oil sender. I think we're about ready to lower this thing down, do the fluids, see what goes on. First dinosaur blood installation since I got back from vacation. 6 quarts of the finest 5W30 synthetic. That is the good stuff. Free range dinosaur blood. I forget, did I say that was the other opposite of free range? It's caged. We don't want to kill happy dinosaurs to take their blood. Better off killing the sad ones. That's not funny. Everything is ridiculous. So it's funny. Look at that. I'm going to give them every drop too. They're going to get their money's worth. Trust me. It's so clean, it's hard to see the oil. I know I've done my job. Let's get some training fluid next. Dinosaur plasma. I'll put about 4 quarts in and we'll fire it up and check it. I got 5.5 quarts because I want to say from memory that's about what they take. But oh no. Oh no, it's like the Exxon Valdez all over again. It's called do-over. And we'll pour slower, how about that? All because I wanted you guys to see the plasma going in. And now looking at the redness of this, maybe transmission fluid's really dinosaur blood and engine oil is dinosaur plasma. I don't know, maybe I have it backwards. Something to think about. Don't think too much about it, because it's silly either way. It's funny how mad that guy got today. This guy makes fun of people, makes fun of customers. Like, no, I'm making fun of the car. And we're fixing it anyway, relax. Have some fun, learn to laugh. Life's too short, man. Life is way too short to be so wound up about stuff. You can find silliness in almost anything. Day-to-day life, it's pretty silly, really, if you think about it. I watched a video of people turning around on the Los Angeles freeways because the traffic was stopped for like 2 hours. Just normal traffic. So people turn around and drive backwards down the shoulder to the next exit. They said it happens all the time. I'm like, well, that's normal, driving backwards on the freeway. Okay. I know one way to use less gas. Make the roads more efficient. Let's go fire this thing up. Oh, you know what? I've been on vacation, so I'm slow. Gotta hook the battery up. Won't start without that. That was my telltale, no key chime. You learn something new every day, like the fact that you gotta have your battery connected for it to start. All right. I'm gonna let this thing run a minute or two. Double check that training fluid and my engine oil level. I'm probably gonna work on something else. We got a little time left in the day. And the traffic's ridiculous, so I'm not gonna drive this now. So I'll just double check my fluids after it runs a couple minutes, and we'll see what's next. All right, I've been babysitting this thing a few minutes. Dry as a bone. Yay! I have had a defective seal on these. Very rare, but happened once. Had to do it a second time. But this one's done. Let's go see what's next. 2017 Hyundai. Let's get in the engine. That should be the engine right here. Brand new. I think it came from Hyundai. oh, look at that. See that Camaro? Not really the Camaro. See the taillights? What's wrong with that picture? Look at the distance, the center of this tail light to the trunk edge.
That's not good. Okay, I just noticed that. I don't know why. Looks like the tires are offsetting the wheel well. The whole back of the car is tweaked off to the side. It's very strange. Someone did some sketchy body work. It was an accident years ago and fixed poorly. Anyway, let's focus. This is one I looked at before I went on vacation. Needs an engine. The timing chain came apart. So that's what the engine is for. We're going to do it. Cleanliness, you remember it's a 2017 and it looks like about a 94. I'm not criticizing anybody. I am saying the car's a mess. That's all. No one knows whose it is or anything about that stuff. Just about the vehicle. Is that straight? Wishing that it was seeing more love. That's all. Simple as that. I'll probably be compelled to fix that while I'm doing the engine at some point. Just pulled out. Okay. Let's focus. Focus. Squirrel! Look at that thing. That should be quick and easy. 13 hours labor. Brand new car. I believe this engine comes out the top by itself without the subframe and transmission stuff. I'm not positive, but I know I gotta take the battery and the battery tray and the air box out. So we'll do that. I'm gonna look up the procedure too, and I'm gonna double check the labor and make sure they charge for replace long block and transfer all components. It's not R&R engine. That's different labor than replacing long block. So, all right, let's do that. All right, got the PCM out, battery tray, battery, air box, covers. I got to put the wiring harnesses got to come out apparently, and this engine and transmission is supposed to come out with a subframe, which surprised it's only 13 hours, but that's how it seems to work lately. I looked the labor up. The long block R&R is like 14.6 hours, so I'm not sure what happened in the translation, but either way, usually don't make any money doing engine swaps. Try to break even if you're lucky, or get slightly ahead if things go really well. That's where everyone's gone home and we're buttoned up. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed my first video back from vacation. It's been my pleasure having you here. I hope you torque the like button. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope I'll see you in the next video. You're awesome.